How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Williams Builds channel, and today is another new car. Now, I asked artificial intelligence what I would look like as a Bentley driver, so artificial intelligence came up with this picture. So therefore, I find it only fitting that the new car, yeah, you guessed it, and it's in the title anyway, is a Bentley. Now, I never ever dreamed I would buy a Bentley, however, I've now got one. It is a bit damaged, bought it from Copart, as always, and I'm now going to show you the car, but I think it's only right that I try and match artificial intelligence. So now that I look absolutely ridiculous as a cheap businessman, I could have went for the option of the footballer, I could have went for the option of the gangster, but it's been done before, and at the end of the day, I can't play football and I don't want any dead bodies in the car. The Bentley Continental is something I could only have dreamed of a few months ago, and now I've actually got one. Thanks to Copart, I managed to pick up a really cheap one for a good price, and it doesn't look in too bad condition. I will take you through the condition of the car in a minute, but first, a bit about the Bentley. I really wanted something with a bigger engine. In days of electric cars, I really can't get my head around them. I really don't think they're practical yet. I don't want one. There is a couple of nice looking ones, but I just don't think the option of the electric car is practical for me yet. So I went, in true typical me fashion, I went for the exact opposite and got something with the biggest engine I could possibly find. So the Bentley, it's got 12 cylinders and it's a 6 litre engine. So that's more me. Let's go and take a look at it. This is my 2008 Bentley Continental GT, equipped with a 6 litre twin turbocharged W12 engine. It produces 552 brake horsepower and a torque of 650 Newton meters. It is capable of a 0 to 60 of 4.8 seconds and can go on to reach a top speed of over 197 miles an hour. It was the first new Bentley released after the company's acquisition by Volkswagen in 1998, and the first Bentley to employ mass production manufacturing techniques. This car has just 68,000 miles on the clock and has a full Bentley service history to back it up. The colour is Silver Lake with a cream leather interior, and the interior still smells like new. The car is fully loaded with spec and even comes with the optional massage seats. The interior even has a Breitling clock. That's fancier than any watch that I've ever worn. As you can see from the damage, it is category S, and any damage looks confined to the front corner, needing a wing, a headlight, a bumper and a new intercooler, as the inner wing has punched a giant hole in the passenger side one. I really can't believe I own this car. It's something I could only have dreamed of a year ago, but I believe this may have been one of the cheapest ones available to me, and hopefully I can rebuild it for a sensible price. I actually thought there was more damage than there was when I first got the car. However, it is just tape. Now, I can only put that down to the battery being flat when I got the car. It seemed to have all sorts of electrical gremlins, windows weren't going up properly, so it looks as though somebody's taped over the windows. Grille is damaged. Bonnet looks to be sitting funny as well. And as you would have noticed, the car is actually running really rough there. Now that, I think, is down to there's a giant hole in the intercooler here, and that will be affecting the airflow. Also affecting the airflow by the fact that the intake pipe is crushed by the headlight. So I think the first thing to do with this car is actually give it a good clean. It deserves that. Also, it'll allow me to see any further damage that's on the car as well. And once the car's clean, we'll then start stripping off the damaged wing. We'll strip out the damaged panel here, we'll take the headlight out, and we'll see if we can get the car running properly. We'll put a different intercooler in it and just see if that makes it work any better, because if it doesn't run any better, then there's no point in this car, because the engine is very expensive to replace if there's a problem with it, and I just don't know if I'm wanting to do that.
There is only one person that could bring the feed onto you, and it is you. So you could be your own worst enemy, and that's the truth. And you don't want to be like that. Honestly, you just want to be that type.
Here I give the car a snow foam and left it for 10 minutes before giving the car a quick wash by hand. I will do a full detail later on the car once it's done, but right now I just want it cleaner, and already it's looking a lot better with all the tape residue coming off with just a light wash.
Sometimes this life is so hard, and it might tear apart your heart, but honestly, regardless of the pain that you really felt in the past and the scars, you can make something that's worth it. You can really do it, man, scratch the surface. And I really know that you probably just really feel it inside. You just really feel nervous, then it's okay. You gotta find a way through the chaos.
And already after a quick wash, you can just see just how nice the cars came up. All that tape came off nice just by washing it. It's absolutely great. I thought that was actually a scratch in the photos, and I thought I was going to have to get some bodywork done there, but it's absolutely amazing. The quality of the car, the finish of the car, the condition of the car, apart from the crash damage obviously, is absolutely amazing. Now that the car's washed, we can go on with stripping it down, but before we do that we've got to put it into jack mode because I'm going to jack the front corner up. Because it's got air suspension, you can't just jack it up, you've got to actually put it in a service mode. So to do that, just take the two buttons there, hold them in 5 seconds, and the car goes into jack mode. Let's do it. So the first thing we've got to do is, as I said, we've got to make sure the car runs properly. We will change out this intercooler and we'll unsquash the intake pipe, but to do that we're going to have to strip off all the damaged parts first. So we'll start with that, take off the wing, take off the headlight, take off the bumper, and then we'll probably have to remove this panel, or pull it out temporarily. We'll see how we get on, but let's go for it. So far the Bentley seems pretty easy to work on and pretty self-explanatory. I start off by removing all the torque screws along the top of the wing, and I have to do the back one by hand as there isn't much clearance between it and the bonnet, so my ratchet won't fit to get that one. After that I can remove the Torx bolts that would normally be behind the bumper, but thankfully these ones are easy to access as the bumper is already gone there. After that I remove the wheel and remove the arch liner to reveal a row of 10mm bolts up the back of the wing, and that then leaves only 2 torque screws at the bottom of the wing down at the sill. Unfortunately these ones I do find that they are actually seized in, so I'm going to have to get a bit creative with that. As I previously mentioned before, I put the Bentley into jack mode before jacking it, and that makes sure I don't damage the air suspension, as if you don't do this it can overinflate the bags to compensate and either lock them or can burst them. And the last thing I want at this stage is to cause further damage that would likely be really expensive to fix. This car has only got 68,000 miles on it and everything seems to be in good condition. With the age of the car, that averages at only 4,000 miles a year roughly, and it really does show with the condition of the car. Also, when I've been looking at parts for a Bentley, I find that they can be pretty expensive, so I think a bit of shopping around will have to be done, and unfortunately some parts are quite scarce. Fortunately though, when putting part numbers in for some of the mechanical parts, some of them come up as other VAG group cars too, so you can get them a little bit cheaper, but I will go through some of this near the end of the video just to show. But for example, I did actually have a look for one of the front throttle bodies, and that also matches up as a Volkswagen Phaeton part, and also for parts for different Lamborghinis as well. So a bit of shopping around does do a big variation in price. One of the throttle bodies, if you buy it with a Bentley price tag on it, it's about £150 second hand, and if you buy it with a Volkswagen badge on it, which is, as I say, it's the exact same part number, it comes in at about £50, so triple the price for a Bentley part. I then pull the wing over to get better access to the seized screws at the bottom and spray them with some penetrating fluid before I have another go at removing them. However, I don't try too hard at this point as I don't want to round them, so I will leave them to soak for a bit longer. And in the meantime, I can just cut the bottom of the wing free using the Dremel. And I'll come back to that later, but doing it this way just now allows me to continue on removing the damaged inner wing panels, and I can then get on to replacing the intercooler and see if the car will run properly. Or am I just being too optimistic, and am I going to have mechanical problems to deal with too? The way my luck runs, I'll go for more work to do, but hey, it brings more content for you guys to watch. And once again, if you're enjoying watching the Bentley and want to see it being returned to its former glory, then don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done, and please share the video. I'm getting so close to the 1,000 subscribers mark now, and I really love doing this, so please help me grow this channel and I can continue to bring more and hopefully make more exciting builds as we go. So now that the front wing's off, you can actually see the extent of the damage. I think this panel appears to be okay, but we'll check. What we'll do is we'll check when we put a new front wing on. The bulk of the damage appears to be this panel, which I do have a new panel for, and it's just needing drilled off. Hopefully it'll all come off okay. The wing down here, I couldn't get those two bolts out, so I've just sprayed them with some penetrating fluid and cut the wing off at the bottom just now. Give that area in there a little clean up as well, just to get all the dirt out, and then we'll continue the rebuild. Next up was the headlight, and to be honest it wasn't held in with much, as all the mounts are broken and there's nothing savable on the headlight, but I will keep a hold of it just now as it does have a module fitted to it, and I may need that for the new headlight as it's probably coded to the car. Only the wiring was still connected, and once that's removed I then start removing some further torque screws from the bumper before I decide to cut the bumper further for now, and that is just to help with access to the front corner, and it allows me into the intercooler and it allows me to that front panel a little bit better so I can start repairing the damage. So a little bit of evidence of actually what's happened here is actually looks as though it's run into the back of somebody. There's some red tail light there, so quite interesting. Also just noticed that somebody's actually stuck number plates on top of it. It appears to be a private plate under there, so be interesting to see if do a search on the number plate what it is and actually what kind of car we've bought after having a Bentley.
To trade with the US, its services that is far more valuable, but when it cut away, UK car imports in the US, less than $1 billion on imports. 10% on cars coming from third countries. That's only one we have.
So the next thing we have to do is remove this panel here, and it's all just on my spot welds. So I'm going to use the spot weld drill, just drill them carefully out, and that way I can put the new panel back on afterwards. So right now I'm carefully drilling out the spot rivets to hold this panel on. Thankfully there doesn't seem to be too much damage to the panel behind, apart from a small bit right down at the bottom, but that should straighten nicely. I think this panel is aluminium as it's drilling really easy, and I let my guard down a little bit and nicked one of the air conditioning pipes. A small but slightly expensive mistake, but thankfully quite an easy part to replace later on. After I drill out all the spot rivets, a light tap with a hammer and chisel and the entire panel comes off, leaving no further damage to the remaining parts of the car. After this, a small clean up with the angle grinder leaves the surface ready for some paint, and the new panel can then be fitted. There's just one tack weld along the top of the panel, and I lightly grind that flat, and the panel actually starts to separate from the car with only some light persuasion. And if anybody knows what primer it is on these panels, please leave me a link in the comments, as I'd like to be able to replicate this kind of finish in the future, just to make sure I get that factory finish. But just to give an idea, that's what the panel should look like, and that's what it did look like. Obviously I've bent it a little bit further, but it was a bit bent. One of the good things I've just noticed is now that the wing's off, now that inner wing panel's removed, the bonnet is actually lining up again. Must have been the wing slightly pushed over, and once it's off and all popped back into place, it's actually went back to its right position, so that's a big relief there. We don't need a bonnet as well. So next thing I'll do is, you see that I firmly believe that's why it's not running right. The intercooler is absolutely smashed at the top, so we'll change this intercooler. Hopefully that'll pull that pulls the hose back out straight again, and we'll go for trying the car, see if it runs any better. So that's intercooler removed. There doesn't appear to be any damage to the hoses going to the intercooler. One thing I did accidentally is I've accidentally drilled through one of the air conditioning pipes, so I'm going to have to replace that now. Thankfully there wasn't much gas in it anyway, so hopefully it's not got a leak anywhere else that's been done. We'll get the new intercooler out, we'll put it in, and we'll see how it goes. So a second-hand intercooler, I managed to get it from a company called Flying Spares. There was a few on eBay, they didn't look in the best condition. This one thankfully does seem to be decent condition, kind of matches the condition of the car, and hopefully that'll all go back together, and then we'll test the car and see how it runs once it's back in. The intercooler is held on with just 3 10mm bolts and 2 Jubilee clips on the hoses. It can slide right out once I disconnect the airflow sensor. I checked the sensor for damage and it appears to be okay, so that one will be able to go straight back in. You could probably do this job with just removing the arch liner, but thankfully that part of the bumper is missing and it makes it really easy to access, and so far the car has actually been really easy to work on. So unfortunately that hasn't solved the running issue. What I will do is I'm going to have to put it on the hotel later on, try and do a bit of diagnosis on it. Hopefully it's just something simple like needing a service or something. If it's been running bad, one of the spark plugs could have gone bad, whatever. We'll figure it out. I don't think it's anything serious because the engine actually sounds fine, but we'll find out. To give it protection, and because this bit won't be seen, I do apply some epoxy primer here just to protect the metal and to prevent any further corrosion down the line, and just making sure that the repair is as best as it possibly can be. Offering up the panel here, and I start by fitting the two bolts that hold it into the crash bar, and I line it up to the original marks where the bolts were, so that gives me the best possible chance of having it straight. For those wondering, I pre-painted this panel earlier on as it was black and I wanted it to be as close to what it should have been there. I got this panel off eBay second hand for just £72, and to give you an idea of the difference, a brand new panel comes in at around £400. Same with the aircon pipe I drilled through, a new one is £450 and I can get one off eBay for £125. An expensive mistake, but I will learn from it and be more gentle next time. Perhaps I should check what's behind anything I drill. After I clamp the panel into place where it should go, I carefully drill out the holes for rivets and apply panel bond to fix it into place, and that should be as strong, if not stronger, than it was when it was in the factory. And as you can see here, now that it's all clamped into place, the panel lines up perfectly at both sides, meaning that the rest of the inner wing is straight and that there's no further damage to the structure of the car. This also means that all the new panels, once I get to fit them, should line up perfectly and I will get perfect panel gaps just like a Bentley should have. I also didn't realise that my battery ran out just after this, and it missed me fitting the panel bond and putting the rivets in properly, but there wasn't much to see. But I can assure you that the repair has turned out perfect and it is absolutely solid. So now that damage is fixed on the car, it brings me to the point where I'm now looking for parts. So I've been sitting, scouring the internet, seeing what parts I need. So right now I've been looking for a front bumper, a headlight, I've got the intercooler already but we'll run through the price of that again. I've got the front panel already, a front wing and various other little parts as we go along. But just to run through some of the parts, because it has been very difficult to find the parts on eBay, and various other places. So I've searched the internet high and low. I've not been able to get a second hand bumper, so I've actually went for a new front bumper from Flying Spares. Now they've actually been really good. It's been a lot cheaper than getting one from Bentley. From Bentley was over £4,000. I've managed to get a new front bumper. That was £1,800. I've managed to get a headlight for around about £200. Front wing was £810 minus discount. I think I got some discount off eBay for that. The intercooler was £201 and the panel was £72. So I want to just roughly show how cheap I managed to get a Bentley for. So by the time I bought the Bentley off Copart and paid delivery, it was £9,500. With all that on and the parts that I've just mentioned, the car owes me just under £12,600 so far. Above what I need, I still have to fix the running issues with it, so I don't know what it's going to cost yet, but hopefully not too much more for paint, and I'm hoping to bring this car in at under £13,000, which I think for a 2008 Bentley Continental GT, with the condition of it and the service history and just really how nice the car is, I don't think that's too bad a deal. And that will actually bring us to the end of today's video. So if you've liked what you've seen, if you've enjoyed it, please again don't forget to like and share. It really does mean the world to me if you do share and you like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see the Bentley continue and you want to see it becoming a really nice car, getting it back on the road and probably taking it a nice road trip, I also think that there might be room for a couple of little minor subtle modifications just to make it that little bit nicer. Join us again next time.